Slow Ride, Fool for the City, I Just Want to Make Love to You, Third Time Lucky, Driving Wheels, Stone Blue. Just a few of the songs that my guest has played over his career in the band Foghat. And I am so honored to have one of my favorite bands being profiled here on A Chat With. And I look forward to having a good conversation. And welcome to the show, Bryan Bennett.
Well, thank you, Sam. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. And my first question is, and I ask it because I was sent information on the band, so I know what's going on. But it's a great question, and I never knew anybody would really be that concerned with it. But what is Foghat?
Well, it was actually a funny word that Lonesome Dave and his brother argued about in a Scrabble type game over in London when they were teenagers. Dave said it's a word, and his brother, it's not a word. And so it always was a joke. And when the first when the band signed their first record deal, they were looking for names, and they went through a couple, and it got down to the wire. And I guess that's Dave came up, how about Foghat? They went with it. So
Now, I listed off a plethora of your songs that you guys have released over time, and it's not even touching the surface of the list. Um, the band has been around over 50 years, 53 years, I believe it is now.
yeah. Mhm.
And I am so glad that you guys are out there, and you addressed the band in a way that is, for me, appropriate, and that's a legacy band, because you are a legacy band, similar to a lot of bands that are out there now. And right now, there seems to be a real boom with legacy bands. Foreigner, Journey, you guys, Styx, and on and on, and Def Leppard, and on and on and on. What do you think is making this music so popular once again, and bringing you guys to the forefront where you're playing these shows every year and having a great time doing it?
I think a lot of it is everybody plays really well. They have great material, and everyone grew up playing live. You started out small in the clubs, then moved to the theaters, then into the arenas, and then some of the big giant acts into the stadiums. And that playing experience live, I think, is the key to it all. I mean, I think that's why people still come to the shows. I just saw Styx not too long ago. We played with Cheap Trick. We're doing shows with ZZ Top. We did several last year. 38 Special, and everybody sounds great and has great material. So, and then it's the classic rock stations keep our music, in the airwaves. And I think, but mostly, I think everybody could play really great. I mean, everybody were great musicians. There wasn't a lot of, you know, special effects. There was no computers. It was a bunch of people with instruments and maybe a half decent light show. And, you build it up as you got more popular. But it was all about the music all through the late 60s up into the, through the 80s, really. But, our era was the 70s. And we look forward to seeing bands out there and touring with them. I would play a set and run out front and watch the other band play. So I think that's what it's all about, the, musical ability.
And that's the thing with the 70s and the 80s with the bands. The bands all support each other. It's not like we're great, you guys go over there. You guys are like, you know what, we're a good band. We have fun in what we're doing. You guys are a great band too. So what do you say we do something together?
Yeah, and that
And you
happens
and
a
like
lot.
you gave a good list of guys that you've toured with. Um, is there anybody that that you guys wish you could tour with and it just hasn't happened for logistic reasons?
Man, it's hard to. The only person personally that I never got a chance to be on stage with was Jeff Beck. And of course, we lost him, and that'll never happen. But I can't think of hardly anybody that we haven't played with over the course of the 40 years. And now it's like, and when you were younger and everything was, you're trying to, make your bones. There was a little bit of competition and this and that. But now it's almost like seeing old friends out there and family. When we get to play with another band, Joan Jett's great. We do George Thorogood shows. I mean, still to this day, and with everybody, and when we see them, it's hugs and, chat and conversation, talk about family and get out there and do some rock and roll for the people. Um, so it's really a great time. And I'm so happy that classic rock has survived. Back in the 70s, we figured, well, we'd be done by the 80s. You get 5, 10 good years, you thank goodness. But all this
Yeah.
time later, it's a pleasant surprise. And everybody, and we still enjoy playing. Foghat was always known as a live band first and foremost. I think in the 70s, and this is before my time. That's when Rod Price was the guitarist at the time. But I was in a band, Wild Cherry. Had an arena experience with that. And but you know, Foghat I think held the record for a couple years straight as playing the most live shows, in the world really. So it was always about the live music, and it still is for us. We love to record, we like putting records out, but what we really like to do is get out there and play.
Now, in my eyes, my feeling is that you guys love to be on stage, love to play your music, and love to make people happy and enjoy themselves and that sort of thing. Is the grind of touring getting to you guys yet, or do you guys see the end product, which is the actual show?
Yeah, our joke is we play for free, we get paid to travel. So that's sort of our rock and roll theme there. But in the old days, we used to do circles around the country, and would go to overseas, and we would be in a bus, do maybe 200 shows a year. So we don't hit it that hard now, but we still do 60 to 70 shows a year. We fly everywhere now. It's makes us able to go from coast to coast without having the limitations of bus travel, which you had about a 500-mile, daily distance that you could travel and still perform. And so I've done, we did that for decades, up and down, and then all the way into Canada and down to Mexico. And so now we take it a little easier on ourselves, but traveling is really the hardest part. Getting up now, it's instead of getting in a bunk and falling asleep and waking up in the next city, we're up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning heading to the airport. So that's the hard part of it. But it's part of being a musician. I mean, we're lucky enough to be able to do it and have people still around the world. And we travel mostly in America, but we get over to Europe, we get up to Canada, and people want to hear our music. So we're more than pleased to be able to go and play for them. It's what we love to do.
And that's the beautiful thing. You guys are on tour currently. You're going to be doing a show in a couple days. Um, what could people expect from a Foghat show nowadays?
Well, pretty much close to 2 hours of fun. We like to, Scott, our singer, always says, you know, let's just concentrate on having a good time tonight. Everything what we're doing is right inside these four walls, forget the outside world, and let's rock and roll. But we're going to do some, we'll always play the hits that people expect us to play, the 5 or 6 songs that everyone, loves from the legacy times. We play 3 or 4 songs from the new album, Sonic Mojo. And we do some old blues covers, and then we always on our Facebook and social media, we always ask our fans, what songs from deep catalog do you want to hear? Is it Honey Hush, or do you want to hear something that we haven't played in a while? And every year we try to change the setup because we have a lot of fans that see us every year, and so we always play the main hits, whatever is current, which is our new record, and which is doing quite well, and people are actually familiar with the new music, which isn't always the case. And then we dig up legacy tracks just for our own enjoyment. We try to play a couple songs from every album in the catalog. We could probably go on for like 4 hours, but limitations of the concert venues and everything else. But yeah, that's what we try to do. We try to spread it out and then bring some surprises to the set.
Now, we talked a little, very, very briefly, just mentioning in the title of the album, Sonic Mojo. At the beginning of this interview, I played I Don't Appreciate You off the album.
Hmm.
And as I told you off air earlier today, the Big Show Artist of the Day was Foghat. So we played a couple songs. I played Slow Ride and another song as well. Slow Ride being my favorite Foghat song.
Well, that's our
Um,
closer every night. So that's there's you can't play much after that one.
yeah, no, it's just one of those songs that just resonates with me. Let's talk a little bit about Sonic Mojo.
Sure.
That album has come out and actually in gangbusters. It's uh, a very high ranking album. How did the album come about, and how do you guys feel about the way it's being accepted?
well, we're really excited about how it's being accepted, of course. And I'm the producer of the album. I'm also the engineer and the guitar player. So we do it in our home studio in Central Florida. I have my studio set up there. So we get to record at our leisure. So it's not really like the old days where you got 2 weeks to make a record and then you're back out on tour. What we do is accumulate song ideas all year long. And it's been a couple years since our last studio record. We seem to do a live record in a studio, and that's, every couple years. So it's been 7 years since our last studio record. Um, and that's it. When we're doing sound checks, we jam, and if we have come up with a good little guitar riff or an idea, we'll capture it. Our sound man will, or these days on a phone. And so when we get together, generally in the fall and winter when our touring season is ending, we go to our band house, and I just sit behind my control desk and hit record. Once we'll work on an arrangement, and we just put it together. And once we have enough songs, I think we recorded 15 songs or 17 altogether and picked 12. And that's how we do it. Once we have a group of songs that we think hold together as an idea and a package, then we go into the process of doing the artwork and all that. And our manager, Linda, does all that business end of things. For us, it's just fun. What's great about having a band house and me being the engineer and doing it on our own, dime, really, in our own time. Roger's a great cook, so he'll make dinner. We'll go out in the front yard. It's a 10-acre ranch, hit golf balls, and then record. And that's how it goes. It's pretty relaxing way to record. And, that's the luxury of experience, I think,
And it's and I Linda has spoiled me rotten. I've got the album, and I've had an opportunity to listen to it, and we play it on my morning show. I play tracks off it periodically, and I play, of course, Slow Ride and some of the other songs as well. And on our Plan B show, it's actually being showcased this week
Great.
in its entirety,
Wow.
as well as an album we'll talk about in a little bit, which is a great live album. And we've been finding that we're getting a lot of positive response from the album. The album, to me, I find, is very energetic. How do was that intentional, or was it just something you guys wanted that you guys could listen to while you're working around the house or at the office? Something that's
Yeah, I
great in
think
the
that's it.
background.
And right. And I think it was a good time record. I mean, a lot of the tracks we recorded, maybe 2 or 3 takes. We rehearsed the song a lot, but that's what we go for, the energy. And a lot of the tracks were recorded with just Scott on guitar and scratch vocal and Roger's drums. And and then but I wanted, as a producer, I wanted to keep it really, straightforward. 2 guitars, bass, drums. I was tempted to add horns to a couple songs or keyboards, but we're a 4-piece band, and I wanted that record to represent exactly who we are, so that we could play the songs live and that would translate, correctly. And we found that out, that it is doing that. When we start playing the songs live, the new ones, they're coming across really well, because they were built around the kind of band that we actually are. In fact, in my mind, I had like the first Bad Company record in my mind, when we were making it. Keep it rocking, keep it sparse, not 100 guitar overdubs, just me and Scott playing, and Rodney on bass and Roger on drums. And I think Scott's vocal performance on this is great. We had some really killer songs. We even ventured into a little bit of country rock. I mean, Scott's got a little bit of twang, I guess, from living near Nashville, but we did some of our favorite covers on there. We did a Chuck Berry cover, and so it was just a lot of fun. And we do a lot of cover songs just for the fun of it. And every once in a while, we'll get our own version of it, that's different from the original and anybody else's cover. I go, oh, that one fits us pretty good. Let's see what that sounds like. So we do that a lot, where we'll, do a song, a cover song in our own arrangement. And what was really special about this record is Kim Simmons, of course, the great Savoy Brown guitarist, and was a dear friend of Roger. Of course, they played together in the 60s in Savoy Brown. That's where Foghat came from, was 3 members of Savoy Brown started Foghat, Dave, Tony, and Roger. But Kim was the band leader back then. And Roger had maintained their friendship all these years, and he played on our last studio album as a special guest, 7 years ago, which is where I became good friends with him. And we've done several live shows together, several in Canada, as a matter of fact. And when this new album was coming up, we asked him, "Hey, do you have any song ideas?" And we would like you to come down and play on the record as well, like you did the last one. Well, he sent us 4 demo tapes, and they were all great songs, and 3 of them ended up on the record. So he sent us a pretty bare demo, but great lyrics, and we worked the music up in our style. And then sadly, he got ill and passed away before he could even, come to Florida and guest on the record. So we feel sort of blessed to have some of his last compositions on this record, as another sentimental thing about it. And some of my favorite songs are his, and we do a Rodney Crowell song too, which is, we do an interesting take on one of those. But to have Kim's songs on there means a lot to me, and in particular to Roger.
And like I said, it's a great album. I like listening to it. And like I said, I've been playing it on the morning show. And it's not the only album that's out. You also have a live album, Slow Ride Live. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Well, that was a concert that was captured in 1999 in Houston. And it was just after I rejoined the band. I don't know if we talked about it on air yet, but I met Dave in '89, and I played together with him for 4 years. It was called Lonesome Dave's Foghat. Roger was still touring with another version of Foghat at the time, but Dave had come back from England, and he had taken a several-year vacation, basically, and wanted to tour again. And we became friends, and he asked me to go on tour with him, which I did. In 1992, at the behest of Rick Rubin, the great record producer, he wanted to do a Foghat record. And so he instigated getting all the original members back together. They were, Tony was living in Europe, and so they all got back together. And luckily enough, I just finished the European tour. Me and Dave were on tour in Europe with Molly Hatchet, and I became good friends with Danny Joe Brown. And so right in '92, Danny Joe asked me to join Molly Hatchet. All the original members got back together and toured for 7 years. Dave became ill around 1997, '98, and they had to quit touring for a while. But right around the beginning of '99, he called me up and asked me if I would come back to Foghat, because Rod Price did not want to go out on tour anymore. Dave was in remission from cancer, and he wanted to tour. And that is the tour this record is. I mean, there's video of it already on YouTube around, from when it was released many years ago. But Cleopatra, I believe, is the company that's re-releasing it, and it's a really great up-tempo vision of what what Lonesome Dave was like on stage, and just the energy, and we played well. It was actually, I don't even know if might have been in the first 2 weeks of me being back touring, and so I thought I did pretty well considering I had just rejoined the band. But so it's a great live capture, and I hope everybody checks it out. But for me, it's very sentimental, because that was the last tour and time I spent with my dear friend before he passed away in 2000.
Now, the albums are available on all the various platforms. And of course, there are hard copies that are available as well. They can purchase them on your website, I would assume.
Yeah, I think the live record is a Cleopatra product. I think their release date is April 5th. So not sure. I think they're in pre-order mode right now. Sonic Mojo has been out since November, and that is available on our site. That's the one, that we're responsible for. And it's in high quality vinyl, and all the digital formats, and a CD, of course. And that, we were so happy that they debuted at #1 on the blues charts and Billboard. And usually you get a week or two, in a chart position from pre-sales and everything, and then you fall off. But this one has really hung in there. We're still at number 10, 18 weeks into the release. So we're very excited about it. And it's from people like you, exposing people to the music on your shows. That means a lot to us. And, but that live record, it's great. It's Lonesome Dave, and he always gave 125% on tour. And you'll see he has real short hair, because he was in recovery from chemo and all that kind of crap. But he still puts on a heck of a show. So it's well worth seeing.
So that is 2 great albums that can be picked up. The live album will be coming out April the 5th. The Sonic Mojo album is available now on Foghat's website. And be sure and check it out. Be sure and get a copy of it. It's a great, great album. I want to thank you for taking time. And before I let you go, the tour is currently ongoing. Who's on the tour with you at this time?
Well, we tour by ourselves generally, and sometimes, you know, depending on the venue, and you know, especially in the summer, we do multiple band concerts, outdoor festivals. But I know we have a show coming up with ZZ Top. We have a show coming up with Starship, Mickey Thomas. We have another show coming up with 38 Special. We hope to see. I just talked to the Dax from Cheap Trick. I think we might run into them, where you have a couple Kansas shows coming up that we're playing together. And then we do a lot of our own headline shows and theaters, you know, we have local openers open up for us. So every day is a little different. Shows are being added all the time. So foghat.com is where to, you know, as soon as we get a new show, it goes right on the tour page. So that's the way to find out what's going on. We just added 4 or 5 shows in this past week. So it's right now, the summer's filling out.
Are you looking at possibly coming to Canada at some
We do
point?
we do have some Canada shows on there, actually. I think we have 2 or 3 right now already. So and we're always looking to do that. So we get up there at least, 3 or 4 times a year.
Well, if you get to the Toronto area, I will do my very best to get out to the show, and hopefully we'll get a chance to meet in person.
Yeah, that would be great. And yeah, keep in touch with the office. If you see a show that you want to attend, all you have to do is drop us a note. Be glad to meet
Perfect.
in person.
Thank you. And I will be purchasing a copy of Sonic Mojo for my office,
Great.
and just something I can hang up. And I have it digitally, so I'm very excited for the album. Like I said, I really enjoy it. And I'd like to ask a favor before you go,
Sure.
if you don't mind terribly. Could you introduce the song I'm about to play to end this interview, Slow Ride?
All right. Well, this is Bryan Bassett of Foghat, and you're about to get rocked with Slow Ride.
And that's another edition of A Chat With. I want to thank my guest, Bryan Bassett, and this is Foghat, Slow Ride.